Hello, today let's ride the warm waves of nostalgia, because I will be reviewing a new reincarnation of famous TinHiFi T2, and they named this version T2 DLC. Not DLC like in games, but it's the first idea that came to my mind, but diamond-like carbon, and it's that return to the roots, because first model T1 was not greatly appreciated by market, but T2 became breakthrough both for the company and actually for the whole industry, because T2 showed that there is a demand for natural tuned, even sometimes bright earphones focused with micro contrast, and it became a huge bestseller. Then TinHiFi released a few really good models like T2 Pro, T2 Plus, T3, T3 Plus, T5, pair of planar magnetic earphones, but I'm pretty sure that they haven't reached the success of actually T2. So they decided to return back to the T2 and redo it with new technologies available. So diamond-like carbon diaphragm, 10mm dynamic driver. Price is $60. I will add links to the Linsol shop in the description, and basically let's have a closer look. As you can see, in terms of design, outer box is just a regular one, black cardboard without much polygraphy, but everything changes when you go inside of this box, because here it's what I wanted to see in many recent releases of TinHiFi. It's exactly similar package to the one they used with regular T2, and I really like this book-like design. They changed a bit material of this box, now it's with some texture, but still looks pretty great and offers nice unboxing experience. Inside of this semi-book you're getting earpieces themselves. As much as I like the surface of this box, the same way I dislike this black surface. Also in the accessories that you're getting two foams and a big set of single flange silicones. So you'll probably find someone that suits you. And the stock cable, of course, it's an important accessory. Unfortunately, there is no some storage solution in the accessory set, but I don't think it's a big issue. But maybe for those who want to protect earphones during the carrying inside of bag, it would be a minus. In terms of design, it's basically familiar T2, done on a bit more modern level with the company's logo on the faceplates and with sockets put on the right side. They are pretty small, fitting nicely into ears, providing good wearing comfort. Spout is slightly below average in length, and sound isolation is also slightly below average, but it will be enough for noisy street or something like that. There is a lip for holding the tips and of course a protective grill. So like classical universal solution that proved by ages of earphones creation. Of course I'm kidding about ages. Cable is made replaceable. Here used standard 2-pin connector, fitting pretty tightly, so hopefully it will be reliable. And there is ear hook formed, a bit shorter than I'd prefer, but okay in everyday usage. Cable itself is slightly softer than average, not super soft, but soft enough to not have microphonics. Looks pretty attractive, nicely braided, silver bicolor, so everything that we like. Here is the splitter with chin slider, and after the splitter it goes braided to the regular 3.5mm jack. So as you can see, in terms of design, it's absolutely classical one, and I really like the presentation either. As for the sound, I gave them 48 hours of burn-in. There were some small changes during first 12 hours or so, but I don't think there is much sense in spending the time, dedicated time to burn them in. More important here is to find the proper tips, because fit and isolation here is the most important aspect to achieve the best possible sound. I've read some reviews over the internet, and some reviews are like polar opposites, comparing to each other, I think that it can be exactly because of the tips. So in the overall representation, it's definitely T2, but with like errors corrected. A bit more accented bass that makes sound more fundamental with more body, and more even treble that makes them more refined and even better suiting the initial idea of natural and slightly bright earphones. And it's definitely not the typical V-shaped model by modern scale. Bass is slightly accented, but accent is not big, so it's definitely not the model for those who need big bass. The depth is really good, but instead bass makes more focus on the speed. It's slightly faster than average, giving a pretty nice punch and good saturation with overtones, but at the same time weight is slightly below traditional, so it's definitely not the model for those who like weighty bass. But instead you're getting a good amount of detailization and great sense of realism that is especially noticeable with some traditional instruments, especially acoustic ones. So my first example here is Casey Abrams with track named Robot Lovers, and here used double bass, and actually you're getting really good sense of realism because you're getting a lot of that small minor nuances typical for this instrument, and because of that it sounds really lifelike. Mids are detailed but not over detailed. There is a noticeable focus on the micro contrast but not maximum. They don't sound like typical balanced armatures tuned to giving you maximum contrast. I've seen some refer this as dull mids, but to my opinion they just uncolored with zero coloration, zero attempts to highlight dynamics or highlight emotions, add some weight, but if it's present in the record they will play it. At the same time, it actually makes them pretty critical for the quality of records. Actually, sensitivity for the quality of record is a bit surprising for this price tier, because they require some decent source and good level of production of the overall track. Stage is really wide, really above average in width, and just about average in depth, so it's more wide than deep, but at the same time pretty good separation of instruments is present here. And example for the mid frequencies, it's Layla Unplugged live version by Eric Clapton. I've seen some news that actually Eric is being cancelled now because of some I actually didn't read. There is not much interest in following entertainment world news, because I have more important news here in my country, but anyway, still a really good track to highlight, to show the realism of earphones, and this model passes it really nicely, because it's live record with audience, with good quality of record, and with decent earphones it will give you the sense of presence. And with this model, of course, it's not perfect, but it's done on a pretty good level that makes this track sound kind of enjoyable. But still remember that this model is for those who like neutrality and detailization. So it will be good for some audiophilic records, for example, but not that great for some poorly recorded songs in pop genre or something like that. As for example metal, I like this detailed sound and aggressive one, but also keep in mind that you will be able to hear all the issues that is typical for the heavy metal recordings. Treble actually shows a really surprising extension with lot of airness, with good overtone saturation. Of course, no layering, but just overtone saturation and sense of airness is really good. Treble is pretty energetic because of this accent on the speed, and it makes everything sound more crisp, more clean. For some it can be perceived as highlighted treble, but in general accent is not huge, but it's present. By my scale they are not too bright, but actually leaning towards the brighter side of things. So if you're sensitive to the treble, maybe it's not your model either, because It's just tuned the way to sound brighter, energetic, with a lot of airness, and it gives additional spaciousness and so on. And as an example for the treble, what track I got as a treble example? Oh yeah, good idea. It's Immigrant song by Led Zeppelin. Actually, track is focused about mids first of all and treble, because for Led Zeppelin it's typical to record on the slightly treble focused manner that gives the guitar their signature airy sound with a lot of interesting overtones. Also here percussion and Plant's vocal goes pretty high, maybe not in far treble area, but still. Of course, this model is not perfect for this track, because even more technical representation would be a good plus for these earphones. But in general, you know, it's pretty pleasant with a lot of spaciousness and with nice focus on the energy of this track, so it sounds really great. And as for pairings, actually they require something decent, and I'd probably say not the cheapest one, digital tonal converters. So if you want to highlight the technical side of things, for example, you can consider HIDI's digital tonal converters. If you want to compensate their technical focus and brightness, but honestly, in my opinion, I think it's better to just get some other earphones than get model with a particular sound and try to change it drastically. So you can consider, for example, Shenling digital tonal converters. They give additional warmth and weight. And speaking about the comparisons, you know, actually this is untypical model for this price tier, and there is not much models to compare. Original TinHiFi has a pretty similar signature, but this model improves treble technicality and makes them slightly more weighty. Not in general weighty, but more weighty than T2, so overall sound is better here, thanks to the newest technologies. And I don't know what we've got here. For example, FIO FD1, also pretty natural and more focused on the micro contrast. But FD1 has more bass, and because of that, sounds slightly more to the bassy side of things. Actually, I can't recall any other models. I think that it will be enough. And to conclude that it's still not the model for everyone, but lot of people will definitely enjoy this technical level and detalization and overall coherence of their sound. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a great day.